From Anshe Sfard, Bethel Emeth Congregation, it's time to take 10 minutes for Torah with Rabbi Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of Tisha B'Av. What are we really mourning? There's so many different aspects of what one might be mourning. But right away at the beginning of Eicha, the book of Lamentations, we say, Galta Yuda Me'oni Umirov Oda. Israel was exiled out of affliction and poverty and tremendous work. Galta, there was galut, exile. What is exile and what exactly do we mourn when we mourn exile? In order to appreciate exile, we need to know what is Israel. What is the Eretz Yisrael? What does it mean to be in Eretz Yisrael? Here we turn to Parsha from last week, Parshat Maseh. The Torah says, Zot ha'aretz asher tibol lachem nachala. B'nachala, Eretz Canaan ligvulotah. These are the borders of the land of Israel. This is the land that will fall to you through a lottery to the various tribes. So the question is, why do we need to know exactly where Israel is? Let's say Israel ends at this border, the other border. What difference does it make? So Rashi says, Ve'ein nohagot v'chutz la'aretz. He says, Harbe mitzvot nohagot ba'aretz ve'ein nohagot b'chutz la'aretz. There are many mitzvot which pertain only to Israel, not to outside of Israel. Therefore, chutzrach lichtov mitzranei gvulei ruchotea saviv. Therefore, we need to know the borders and boundaries of Israel all around. We need to know, where does Israel begin, where does it end? Because there are mitzvot that pertain to the land of Israel. For instance, says Reb Chaim Brisker, the Velvel Brisker, the Brisker Rav, he says, you know why we need to know the eastern border? Because Jordan, you might say, well, why do you need to know the eastern border? It goes right into Jordan. In Jordan, you can keep the mitzvahs too. No, because in Jordan, according to Rabbi Yossi Aglili, in the Mishnah, in Bikurim, Rabbi Yossi Aglili says, you cannot bring first fruits from the other side of the Jordan, so that even the Jordan River is a border for certain mitzvos, such as the Bikurim, the first fruits, can only be brought from certain parts of the land of Israel. Now, so what is Rashi saying? Rashi and the Brisker Rav, they're saying that Eretz Yisrael, you know what Israel is? Israel is a place where you can do mitzvos. You know what galus is? You know what exile is? Exile is when you can't do the mitzvos of the land of Israel. This is the great tragedy. In fact, Reb Chaim HaKohen in the Tosos and Daf Kuf Yudam Beis in Kesubos, the Tosos says, the Rabbeinu Chaim says, there's no mitzvah to live anymore in the land of Israel. That's what Reb Chaim Cohen says. Most disagree. Ramban, even the Rambam seems to disagree. But that's what he says. Why? Ki yesh kama mitzvos hatzluyas ba'aretz v'chama onjim de'einani mechol nizar b'hem v'lamod alehem. There are so many mitzvos, so many positive mitzvos, negative mitzvos. We can't keep them. And if you can't keep the mitzvos, then there's no point in being in the land of Israel. The first idea of what we mourn is the ability to keep the mitzvot hatzluyot ba'aretz that are related to the land of Israel. Certainly, even if you're in Israel, you can't keep the mitzvot of the Beit HaMikdash, of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. This too is a loss of mitzvot. And this is what we mourn when we are in Golus. The Gemara in Sota seems to support this theory, the notion of the centrality of mitzvot in what Golus is all about. Darash Reb Simloi, Mipnei Ma Nis'av Moshe Likanos Eretz Yisrael. Why in next week's Parsha, Parshas Veschanan, does Moshe desire to go into the land of Israel? He wants to see that Haratov, that the Lebanon. He wants to see Lebanon. He wants to see the good mountain. He wants to see the Harabais. Why? You think Moshe Rabbeinu is hungry for the fruits? He wants to have some good dates from the date palms? You think he wants to have some good olives? What do you think he is? Ella Amar Moshe Kach Amar Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu said like this: Harbe mitzvos nistavi Yisrael mimiskayim in Eretz Yisrael eikanes ani la'aretz kadeshi yiskaymu kulan ayadi. So he says, I want to go to the land of Israel so I could fulfill the mitzvos. There are many mitzvos that I can't do. A Jew is not complete until he does all the mitzvos he can do, and I can't do certain mitzvos here in the desert. And therefore, that's why he wanted to go to Israel, not to eat the fruits. However, we all know that in Al HaMichya, in the blessing after snacks, after some dates, figs, after snacks that are made out of mizonos, cookies and cakes, we say Al HaMichya. In the Al HaMichya, we say, we'd like to do is, we'd bring us back to the rebuilt Israel. We would like to eat your fruits, the fruits of Israel, and be satiated from its goodness. So the Torah, one of the first codes of Jewish law says, wait, you can't say that. How can you say that our desire is to go and eat the fruits of the land of Israel? The Gemara in Sota says that we do not want to, that's not the purpose of going to Israel. Now the Beis Yosef, Rabbi Yosef Karo answers, he says, no, you read the sentence like this. We want to go to the land of Israel to eat the fruits. When we eat those fruits in the land of Israel, we'll be able to bless you out of sanctity and purity. That's our goal. Not the eating, but the brachos, the birkas hamazon, the blessing, the grace after meals. That's what we're looking forward to in the land of Israel. However, the Bach takes a more radical approach, and this brings us to a whole second meaning of what Israel is, and by extension, what is Golus, and what are we mourning on Tisha B'Av. Namely, he says, what do you mean? What do you mean it's not a big deal to eat the fruits? What do you mean you don't want to say that in Al HaMichya? He says, no. He says, Eretz, the Kedushat Eretz, Hanish Baba, Mi Kedushas Haaretz, El Yoni Nishpas, Gam Peroseh, Yonkin, don't you understand? The holiness of the divine presence, the Shekhinah, rests in Israel. When you eat the fruits, you're eating something that has within it, is infused with the sanctity of the land of Israel. Don't you understand? There's a sanctity in the land of Israel. It's just bursting with that sanctity. That's why we want to eat it. That's why we do say that prayer. We want to go to Israel to ingest the holiness of the land of Israel. There's a second aspect we're mourning on Tisha B'Av, and that is that we miss that holiness that's found in every fruit of the land of Israel. Maybe today the fruits have been defiled, the land has been defiled. We're still waiting for the re-sanctification and purification of the land so that indeed that holiness will indeed come out. Now it could be that Moshe Rabbeinu, maybe he was on a different level. For him, maybe he already had this close relationship with God, but for us, our closest we can get with God perhaps is this very presence in the land of Israel. The notion that Israel is not just a place where you do mitzvos, but it's something deeper than that, is expressed in the Gemara in Ksubos, where we say that Rabbi Abba have Menashe kife da'ako, that Rabbi Abba would actually kiss the port of Akko as he left the land of Israel. There were other rabbis, Rabbi Chia bar Gamda, Mingadir be'afra, he would actually roll in the dirt and the dust of the land of Israel because he felt the dirt itself atoned for a Jew. The Rambam mentions that that's somebody who simply walks in the land of Israel. That itself will bring us into the land of the living. It will bring us into the Olam Haba, into eternal life. Just walking in it. It's not just doing the mitzvos. It's more than that. To be buried there, niskaperlo, you're atoned. There's no mitzvah to be buried in Israel. But if you're buried in Israel, you're just being there is an atonement for the Jew. And therefore, when we turn to the Tzion Kinos, the lamentations called Tzion, that begin with the word Tzion, started by Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, the great lover of Israel. He says, Sham hashchina, shchina lach. It's a beautiful alliteration. He says the Shekhinah, the divine presence, is your neighbor when you're in the land of Israel. Is your neighbor because the Har HaBayis, the Temple Mount, is not far away, and that never loses its holiness. It's your neighbor because perhaps the land of Israel itself never lost its holiness. It's your neighbor. He says the avir, the chayei neshamot avir artzech. He says your souls come alive from the air of your land. Says Rabbi Weinreb in his beautiful translation. The air of the land of Israel, says Rabbi Soloveitchik, is not only ordinary air, which benefits the body, but it rather is of a special spiritual nature that benefits the soul. Finally, the Ramban writes, you know why I work so hard to escape Spain, to come here to the land of Israel? Ritzoni lios tiltul nishmasi bechekimi. I want my soul to be carried in the bosom of my mother. This is not just about what mitzvos the Ramban is going to do in Eretz Yisrael. The land of Israel is a place where we're in the bosom of our mother, where we're in the embrace of the divine Shekhinah. If we ask, what are we mourning on Tisha B'Av? We're mourning, yes, the loss of mitzvos, opportunities to do mitzvos. Living here in Memphis, Tennessee, there's a limit to how many mitzvos I can do. The Shemitah and the Yovel and the Orla and the Rabbi and the Bikurim, so many mitzvos I can't do because I'm not in Israel. Without the temple, there's numerous other mitzvos, and the Ola and the Chatash and the Asham and so many things, and the Seder Avodas, Yom Kippurim, so many things I can't do because there's no temple in the Beis HaMikdash. That's number one. But number two, there's a spiritual element. There's a loss of holiness in the land of Israel. That's not quite what it used to be. If you're outside of Israel, certainly you're not exposed to that holiness of the Shekhinah, which is your Shachen. The Shekhinah is your Shachen. It's your neighbor when you're in the land of Israel. Living here outside the land of Israel, we not only are not able to do the mitzvos of Israel, we're not able to be a Shachen to the Shekhinah, to be a neighbor to the divine presence. This Tisha B'Av, we mourn the lack of mitzvos outside of Israel. Even in Israel, those are no longer pertain. And then we also mourn the loss of our Shekhinah being our Shachen, the divine presence being our neighbor. Let us hope by the time we reach this Tisha B'Av, Yirtzeh Hashem, maybe next Tisha B'Av, we should be able to say that once again, we're able to do those mitzvos, and the Shekhinah will be our Shachen, divine presence will be our neighbor. Thank you for joining us here at the Anshe Sefard Beth Lameth congregation here in Memphis, Tennessee, for our discussion of Tisha B'Av. Join us each week for further discussions and see our archives from past discussions, past holidays, and Parshiot. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein. To learn more, visit ASBEE.org.